two playoff teams from last year in the Broncos and the Chargers. They lost the game to a playoff team in the Rams from last year. And again, they only lost by 7. And they're 7-1 so far. Have looked like one of the best. And I think I can confidently say that they are the best team in the league. Welcome to Influential Sports, where passion meets precision. As I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. Are the Indianapolis Colts the best team in the NFL? I'm here to answer that question 8 weeks into the season. Who knows who the best team is at this point? Is that the Colts, or can that be the Colts? Colts are 7-1, currently on a 4-game winning streak. Have a 2.5 game lead in the AFC South, as they sit at first in the AFC South, above the Jaguars and above the Texans. The Titans, of course, but nobody had any expectations for the Titans, so of course they're last. And they're first in the AFC by 1 game, as they're ahead of the Patriots and Broncos, and they did beat the Broncos head-to-head earlier this year in week 2. So they had the best record in the league. They're one of 10 teams in the league to be undefeated in their division so far this year, and they have a plus 116 point differential. That's easily the best point differential in the league. The Patriots are second with a plus 67. The Colts are the only team that have a point differential over 70, and it's in the hundreds. It's at 116. And let's just look at some of the games. Let's just look at the 8 games they had prior to this video. Week 1, they get a dominant win against the Dolphins. They win 33-8. And the Dolphins are a very confusing team because they just blew out the Falcons. So I don't know what's going on with Miami half the time. They're a really confusing team. Very controversial game against the Broncos, but they were able to pull off the comeback and won by 1. Ended up winning 29-28. And that was a fun game as well. That was a fun Week 2 game. Week 3, they go into their first division matchup of the year and dominate the Titans. Win 41-20. Cam Ward's been... He's been bad, but it hasn't been his fault. It's not Cam Ward's fault that he's been bad. But that whole Titans team, the offensive line is terrible. Cam Ward isn't getting much help. And he's had some flashes. He's looked solid at times, but it's not much more that Cam Ward can do for this Titans team. The Titans are terrible. Week 4 game against the Rams, I think both of these teams were undefeated going into this. If not, the Rams had 1 loss, but I know the Colts were undefeated going into this game. And the Rams won by a touchdown because I forgot who it was, but somebody on the Colts fumbled at the goal line, and then that ended up in a touchback. It wasn't intentional, but fumbled at the goal line, and they ended up losing that game by 7. I also think Daniel Jones had an interception in that game, which he hasn't thrown many this year. I think that was his first game with an interception. And that Titans game was the first game they punted in. They didn't punt against the Dolphins or the Broncos. They didn't punt until week 3 of the season. So 4 weeks in, and they're 3-1. Got a win over Denver. They dominated the division rival, and they only lost to the Rams by a touchdown and probably go to overtime. Was that a Donde Mitchell, or was that somebody else? Whoever that was that fumbled at the goal line, if they don't do that, that game probably goes to overtime and they have a chance to win it. Even if they lose, they at least put themselves in position to win. Then they play the Raiders in Week 5, dominate them, win by 34 points. No surprise there. A surprise they put up that much against the Raiders because I didn't expect anything out of either team, to be honest. They struggled a bit against Arizona in Week 6. Arizona by Week 6 was still solid, and obviously James Conner is out. He's been out for a few weeks now. Week 6 for Arizona is 2-5 now, so they're pretty terrible. Like I said, they struggled a bit, but they ended up getting a win, 31-27. They were able to close that game out, improve to 5-1. Then they get a 14-point win over the Chargers, who are in playoff position. They're fighting for a playoff spot in that stacked AFC, so that was a very important game for the Colts. It was their second matchup against the third matchup against the AFC West, and they went 3-0. If you have to play the Chiefs yet, they do have a game against them coming up soon. But they dominated the Chargers, who were in. Like, that Chargers win was much more convincing than the win against the Broncos. And the Chargers are a team that's fighting for their division, fighting for a playoff spot, so that was a great win for them. Then they go into Week 8 yesterday and get another win versus the Titans. So they sweep the Titans on the season, won the second game 38-14. So they didn't put up 40 again. Being 2-0 in the division, it's nice already. And like I said, it's the Titans, but at the end of the day, they still won the games that they should. And really, their only loss, it wasn't even a bad loss to the Rams. Obviously, it'd be nice if you can win that game. And then I'll talk about the upcoming schedule. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But this defense has been amazing. Gover Stewart, 27 tackles on the year, 4 tackles for loss, and an interception. He's been doing a great job. Had a great game yesterday against the Titans. DeForest Buckner has looked great with 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Nick Cross, 56 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and an interception. Latu Lato, their rookie from last year, great improvement from last year to this year with 17 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions. He's already having a much better season than he did last year, and he wasn't atrocious last year, but the Colts as a team were just pretty bad. And he didn't do much last year, but his stats are, he's already on pace to get to be a lot better than what he was last year statistically. Like this defense, like they just look great. They had 6 most sacks in the NFL so far. Cam Bynum, Kenny Moore, they're doing their thing as well. And there's a few other defenders that they've just been doing a great job with this team. The defense has been amazing for the Colts. They're dominating in most of their wins. Like I said, they have multiple 20-plus point wins, over the Titans twice, over the Raiders. They even beat, it wasn't by 20, but they beat the Chargers by 2 touchdowns, and that was one of their most convincing wins, since the Chargers are a team that's also fighting for a playoff spot. Also, you still got a chance to win the division. They're not completely out the race for the division yet. So that's definitely possible that the Chargers can win that the same way that the Colts are looking to win their division. So those are important games. And then this defense, and really like this defense has been able to do. Said this has been the weaker part of their schedule. The tougher part is coming up week 9. Here on out, they have a very tough schedule, and I think they'll be able to handle it. Like I said, I'll get to that later in the video. But let's talk about their kicker situation. You had Spencer starting in the first 5 games, went 13 of 14 for field goals, made all 14 of his extra points, and they were 4-1. And unfortunately, he suffered an injury and was placed on IR. I don't know how long he's going to be out because he's been out the last 3 weeks. But Michael Bagley, he's been great. Michael Bagley's been great. Only missed 1. He's made all 3 field goals. They've only had to kick 3 field goals in these 3 weeks, and he went 3 of 3, and he's won 12 of 13 on extra points. So that's 93%, if I'm not mistaken, in the 3 games he's played, and they're 3-0. So he's done a great job filling in as the backup kicker. It's important to have need a good kicker, because special teams is important. But the fact you were able to replace your starting kicker who was out with an injury with a backup kicker, that's also phenomenal, because he could have easily stepped in and just not been good, because it is some kickers that just suck and can't make field goals or extra points. And he's been able to do that. Aside, I think both kickers on the year only have 1 kick. The Colts have only missed 2 kicks combined from field goals and extra points. But they haven't missed an extra point on the season, and they've missed 2 extra points, but they both came from different players, and they both over 90% when it comes to kicking field goals. So even when starter come back, like Michael Bagley, he'll be getting less minutes. I mean, he probably won't be playing in general, but it's good that you have a backup kicker. Like I said, don't know how long Strider is out. Be a great kicking unit, great defense. And let's talk about this offense, because Daniel Jones, I was not expecting Daniel Jones to play this well. I honestly expected Anthony Richardson to be a starter, but that didn't happen. Anthony Richardson also has, just had to pull it up. Anthony Richardson has played in 2 games, and he had a catch for 9 yards. That's certainly something. And it was for a first down, too. That's cool, I guess. Like, I don't know what to make of that. Like, I don't know why he had to catch in general. But I guess it was a trick play that they did. I don't remember that play. That's certainly interesting. So shout out to Anthony Richardson. But the receiving core has been great. Tyler Warren, a star rookie tight end. 37 receptions on 50 targets. Obviously, that could be a bit better. But it's not. But he still has 492 yards leading the team. A 13.3 average per catch. 3 touchdowns on the year. Like, he's been amazing this year. He has 8 plays of 20 plus yards, 293 yards after the catch, and 25 first downs. So Tyler Warren has been great, definitely in contention for Rookie of the Year, for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him win it with the phenomenal season that he's putting together so far. Then you got Michael Pittman Jr., who I really like as a receiver, 46 receptions, 56 targets, 446 yards, 10.4 average per catch, 6 touchdowns on the season, 29 first downs for the Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. having a great season. I've always liked Michael Pittman Jr. like what he's been able to do this season, playing great. Pierce he's played in 6 out of 8 games, had 18 receptions for 386 yards. That's 21.4 yards per catch. 6 plays of 20 plus yards, 15 first downs, doing a great job. Josh Downs in 7 games, 256 yards on 29 receptions. Has 2 touchdowns on the year, and just like this whole receiving core has been really good, and it's a very underrated receiving core because obviously you don't expect a lot when you. And then Adonde Mitchell, he has 15 receptions, no 8. He has 8 receptions for 145 yards on the year. I was looking at targets. He got 15 targets though. But this receiving core has played really well. Like, they've all stepped in when they needed to, gotten the team big first downs and gotten them touchdowns. So going into the season, this was a very underrated receiving core, and it still is with Tyler Warren. That's the star tight end. You got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs, 3 really good receivers, and they'll prove that this year. Then you got Adonde Mitchell, in case you don't have one of them, like with Alex Pierce not playing in one of the games, you get more snaps for Adonde Mitchell. So that's been great for the Colts. And then you have amazing pass catching running back in Jonathan Taylor, who's put together a great season, Offensive Player of the Year caliber season. 143 carries, 850 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns, and that's just from the running side. And then when it comes to receiving, like I said, one of the best. Him and Christian McCaffrey have been the 2 best pass catching backs this season, as he's had 25 receptions on 27 targets for 206 yards, 8.2 average, and 2 touchdowns on the year. So Jonathan Taylor's did a great. He's been great this year. He's been the engine behind the Colts' success in this season. He's proven, really since 2021, he's continued to prove why he's one of the best running backs in the league. Him and Christian McCaffrey, they should be in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year, maybe even MVP. I can see that argument too, because like I said, they've been the 2. And now Christian McCaffrey, I think Christian McCaffrey should be in the MVP race. I think he's the MVP leader, even though they did lose yesterday. But I think he should be in the race at least, and then Jonathan Taylor should be in the race for Offensive Player of the Year. Like, he's not like he's 5th in receiving yards, but he also has 200 plus, which is only 5. They have 6 players with over 100 receiving yards, and 5 of them have over 200, and he's one of those 5. And so he's done a great job. And then the reception to target ratio is amazing from Jonathan Taylor. And it's not much that this team hasn't been able to do. And let me take it back to Daniel Jones, who's had a great season, a very unexpected season, over 2,000 yards, 71.2 completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 9 sacks, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 fumble. He has 17 total touchdowns and just 4 turnovers. Daniel Jones has been great this season. There's nothing more that I can say about that. Like, he hasn't taken that many sacks, like 8 weeks in. And that's essentially a sack per game. 9 sacks on the year, that's essentially a sack per game. And then he's averaging 0.5 turnovers per game, just 4 turnovers in 8 games. Like, he's limited to turnovers. He's making the right decisions. He's getting to his receivers. He's done a great job. Yeah, he's got a few rushing touchdowns. Not many rushing, because it's mainly short yardage, but a rushing touchdown is a rushing touchdown at the end of the day. So you can't take that away from him. And the Colts are sitting at 7-1. They have one of the best defenses in the AFC, or in the league in general. They're 7-1, had the best record in the league. The receiving game has been really nice. They have dominant wins. They're not just, these aren't close games. They aren't in close games every week. They got a dominant win against the Dolphins, 2 dominant wins against the Titans, a 14-point win over the Chargers, 34-point win over the Raiders. like I said, 1 point win over the Broncos. So they've already beaten two playoff teams from last year in the Broncos and the Chargers. They lost the game to a playoff team in the Rams from last year. And again, they only lost by 7. And they're 7-1 so far. Have looked like one of the best. And I think I can confidently say that they are the best team in the league because every win isn't just, oh, we barely escaped. Like it's like the Buccaneers had that early in the season where they were escaping some of these games. Same with the Eagles. They were like, we were escaping some of these games like we were barely getting wins. Like they came out the gate dominate. They still have 2 significant wins. They have a significant, like that's such a big difference in them being 7-1 to 8-0 because they really could be 8-0 right now. They had to come back in the Broncos game. They were battle tested there for sure. 2-0 in the division already, despite it being against the Titans. At the end of the day, those division games are important. You can't slack around in those games. You got to win those division games no matter how bad the team is. Because as we saw the Giants beat the Eagles 2 weeks ago, they beat us. Then we had to get our revenge this past Sunday. So those division games are important. If we don't lose that game, we only have 1 loss on the season. We'll be above the Packers. But because the Packers had that tie, that's really helping them out. And that's credit to the Packers. They played for the tie in overtime, and it's working out for them. But the Eagles got blown out by the Giants, and you've seen what happened. So winning those division games are important because it's going to matter for playoff seeding. Now, I do think they're the best team in the league because not only, like I said, they've dominated opponents. The offense looks amazing. Tyler Warren is in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jonathan Taylor should be Offensive Player of the Year at this point in the season. Daniel Jones has done a great job limiting turnovers. Shane Steichen has been a great coach for the Colts. I really hate that we lost him as an OC after the Super Bowl. But Shane Steichen's done a great job too. Forgot to mention that. But before I end it, their upcoming schedule, they play the Steelers in Pittsburgh week 9. Then they go overseas to play the Falcons in week 10. They have a bye week in week 11. And week 12 is the Chiefs. Week 13 is the Texans at home. Week 14 is the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Week 15 is the Seahawks in Seattle. That's week 15. Week 16, you play the 49ers. They play the 49ers, but they're at home. Week 17, another home game. Their second game against the Jags. Then week 18, their last game of the season against the Texans in Houston. So their upcoming stretch is the most important because this is the second half of the season now. This is their most important stretch. So that Steelers game is very important. With it being in Pittsburgh, another team that's fighting to win their division. The same situations when they played Denver and the Chargers, who are both fighting for their division and still are at the time that they played them. So the Seahawks game is going to be the Steelers game is very important. Like all of these teams that they're playing are fighting for the playoffs. The Steelers, they're trying to win the division. The Falcons, they probably won't win the division, but they want to try to get a wild card spot. The Chiefs, if they can beat them, they would sweep the AFC West. That would be very impressive if they're able to pull that off. And they already beat 2 playoff teams from that division. They still got 4 division games. They're not winning all of them. I highly doubt that. But I do think they split with both the Texans and Jaguars and finish the year 4-2 in their division, which is something I didn't think I'd be saying at this point in the season. Then when it comes to the Seahawks, 49ers, the Falcons, like I mentioned, and 3 out-of-conference games that are very important for them to win. If they can go at least 2-1 within those 3 games, they don't have to win all 3 of those games against the NFC, but they got to win at least 2 of them. And preferably the 49ers and Seahawks, because obviously the Falcons game you would want to win, but with that being overseas games can get weird, even for some of the best teams. Because even the Jaguars, they just got dominated overseas, and they play them under the most out of any team. So overseas games, like I'm not gonna take it with a grain of salt. It's still important, but those games are just much tougher to win, just in general. So if they get blown out, it's a different issue than if they just straight up lose. And the Falcons are also one of the most confusing teams. Like I said, they lost by 30 to the Panthers. Didn't even score. Then they got blown out by the Dolphins. But the Falcons confuse everybody in the NFL. So I don't think this is nothing new. But the 49ers are going to be, the Colts are going to be a playoff team. They're probably going to win this division. I think if they can win these next 2 games and improve to 9-1, they're winning the division. I don't see a way that they don't. It's still a slight chance that the Jaguars can win it. Very slight chance. Because the Jaguars still got to put in the work themselves and get a win in their next game. If If they can win these next 2 games and go to 9-1, they're winning the division and may even win the conference. Still got to watch out for the Patriots though, and the Broncos, who are both 6-2. So we'll see what happens with that. Are the Colts the best team in the league? At this point, I think they are. Listen, things can change. Obviously, we're still 9 weeks away from the playoffs, but let me know what y'all think. Are the Colts the best team in the league, or is it somebody else? And leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comment what y'all thought, and share for others to see.